Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to another episode of Fully Tilted. As always, I am your host, Raythrill, and today we're going to take a look at a different type of approach deck. So approach decks are pretty prevalent in MTG Arena, as a best-of-one game approach has a great Game 1 matchup against most decks. The reason approach doesn't do so well in regular standard is due to best of 3, and it's super easy to hate it out in the sideboard. So, since we only have best of 1 in MTG Arena right now, approach decks are really prevalent. We're going to take a little bit of a different approach to the approach deck. Instead of going blue and white, we're going to go black and white, and we're going to add in Lich's Mastery, which is an interesting enchantment that came out in Dominaria. By the way, there's a huge announcement that just dropped last night that as of the beginning of June, we are going to get full standard in MTG Arena, which is huge. We're going to be getting Kaladesh and Aether Revolt. They're also going to be releasing some best of 3, so I see the kind of dichotomy splitting in the MTG Arena meta, where a lot of decks are going to be, you're going to have a distinct meta in the best of 3 games, as well as a distinct meta in the best of 1 games, the quick constructed and just the regular ranked constructed. So we'll see how that turns out. I'm really excited for it. I've been waiting for those sets to be released. They're going to add a lot of pieces to a lot of these decks that they're kind of lacking right now. And actually, one of the decks is our black and white Lich's approach deck. So let's take a look at it. All right. So in our Lich's approach deck, we are running 4 Steal Away. You guys have heard me talk about this white enchantment before. It's got Flash. It exiles any target tapped creature. They don't even need to be attacking. They just need to be tapped. So any Mana Dork or anything like that, we can also steal as well. Running 4 Moment of Craving. Now, Moment of Craving has lost some of its luster lately, with it only being a -2/-2. However, combining this with Lich's Mastery can remove a creature from our opponent. It can also damage a creature, so they do less damage to us, and we gain the 2 life, which if we have Lich's Mastery on the field, we're going to be drawing 2 cards. So it's almost like adding a kicker to it, which is really nice. We're running 2 Gideon of the Trials, as always, just a great Planeswalker. His +1 ability can kind of prevent damage, so that we don't have to keep exiling cards with Lich's Mastery. His 0, while kind of redundant with Lich's Mastery, isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world either. We're running 4 Renewed Faith. For 3 mana, you get to gain 6 life. With Lich's Mastery on the field, you get to gain 6 cards. Even cycling it, you still gain 2 life. And so, again, with Lich's Mastery on the field, you're going to be drawing 2 cards. It's fantastic. We're going to be playing 3 Doomfall, and this is really to help us peek at our opponent's hand, see what they're going to be playing, as well as remove any counters that might come down if we try to play Approach or Lich's Mastery. So this is really just to pave the way for our finishers. Running 3 Cast Out just as a kind of catch-all again, right? This helps us remove any nasty enchantments or, the flip lands and stuff like that. So definitely a card that we want in this deck. Flash is great, so we can play it on our opponent's turn. We can cycle it early on if we're looking for cards, or to help us get our second approach. Running 2 Settle the Wreckage, and this is our only sweeper in the deck. This is where I believe once we hit full standard, this deck will greatly benefit from it, and that's because we lack currently Fumigate in the MTG Arena meta. Fumigate would go leaps and bounds above what Settle the Wreckage does for this deck. Fumigate would be fantastic to play as an overall sweeper. It would gain you life, it would gain you cards, and it would just be a great addition to this deck, and I can't wait for it to be released. However, in the meantime, we're going to have to deal with Settle the Wreckage and use that. Honestly, I think I actually might want 3 of them in this deck, but we're going to run with 2 for now. Might end up switching it up and going 3 Settle the Wreckage and 3 Vraska's Contempt. But right now we are running 4 Vraska's Contempt, exiles target creature or planeswalker, and you gain 2 life. So later on in the game, after we land, our 6-drop Lich's Mastery, not only are we exiling a target creature or planeswalker, but we're also drawing 2 cards. We're running 2 Karn, Scion of Urza. His +1 ability allows us to draw cards. Again, kind of finding the pieces that we need, whether it's Lich's Mastery or another approach or whatever it may be. Later on, he can -2 to produce some constructs that can help block for us so that we're not losing life and exiling cards with Lich's Mastery. One of the main key component cards of this deck, Lich's Mastery, it's a legendary enchantment. It does have hexproof, so it can't be targeted. When you put it on the field, you cannot lose the game. Your opponent can still win the game, but you cannot lose the game. Whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. Whenever you lose life, for each 1 life you lost, exile a permanent you control or a card from your hand or graveyard, which is super tricky. You definitely want to make sure that the field is clear when you drop Lich's Mastery, and you want to make sure that you're going to be able to clear the field if they start dropping creatures, because when they start doing damage, it's going to start to really, really hurt. Our basically like kind of win condition for this deck is Approach to the Second Sun. So what's great with Approach is if we cast it with Lich's Mastery on the field, then we can stack the triggers so that we can actually like basically pull another Approach, or pretty close to it, which is pretty awesome. I did play a game with this earlier, and I almost actually decked myself playing Approach, so definitely be careful of that. We're also running 1 Sanguine Sacrament. So this was a card that in early MTG Arena a lot of people played because they would just keep gaining life, and then they couldn't deck themselves because Sanguine Sacrament puts itself back in its owner's library. So this is a great card to play with Lich's Mastery, because if we have Lich's Mastery on the field, we can play Sanguine Sacrament and just basically start drawing a ton of cards. And that's it for the basic cards in the deck. Let's take a look at the mana base. We're running 9 Plains, 2 If Near Deadlands, 8 Swamps, 4 Isolated Chapels, 1 Arc, which is great, allows us to draw cards later on in the game, and 2 Field of Ruin to get rid of pesky flip lands, such as Climb or Search. So we're running 26 lands in total, which again for a control deck is pretty standard. I actually might want to switch up the land count, maybe go a little bit less on the plains and a little bit less on the swamps, a little bit more on the plains, but I think some more testing will be needed for that. So that's about it for the deck. We're definitely going to see how it operates. It looks like a lot of fun. I don't know if it's going to be competitive, but I'm okay with that. Fun decks are always way better to play anyway. So let's get into a couple matches and see how this goes. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, well, we have our starting hand. We have 4 lands, a Seal Away, a Renewed Faith, and a Moment of Craving. Moment of Craving not ideal right now because we don't have an actual black source. This is going to cost us life, but it's okay. I think it's a great hand. We go first. We've got some early interaction, so I think we're definitely going to keep it. Alright, so I think what we're going to do is lead off with our Plains and basically see what our opponent's playing. See what kind of deck they're playing will determine what we drop next. Right, so if they're playing like an aggressive deck, okay, so black and blue, so maybe a black and blue control deck or black and blue mid-range deck. We don't really quite know what's going on just yet, but I think we're going to drop If Near Deadlands. That way we do have a black source if we need it, and we're going to pass the turn. We have a couple of different options here. We can Moment of Craving, we can cycle Renewed Faith. Most likely we're not going to be able to seal anything away, and that's okay. So let's see what they do, and that will basically determine what we do. That's one of the things about control decks, right, is basically a lot of times you're reactive, so you're just sitting there waiting to see what your opponent does. Drops a black land, goes to combat, does nothing. Alright, so we're going to cycle Renewed Faith. Going to gain some life. Now, I would love to keep these for later on when we play Lich's Mastery, but if we don't ever get Lich's Mastery, well, then it doesn't really matter. We're another Sealed Away. We are going to Plains, and then we will Doomfall our opponent's hand to see what they're working with. So we're going to have to pay the 1 life for the black, and that's okay. It's not that big of a deal. Alright, so it looks like they're playing with some form of kind of black and blue mid-range deck. So Ravenous Chupacabra really doesn't do anything against us. Vanquish the Weak does nothing. Essence Scatter does nothing. Impale does nothing. So we're going to take their Supreme Will so they can't counter our stuff. Honestly, it looks like we're kind of playing against the black and blue starter deck. Starter decks, while are okay, they definitely need some improvement. So we'll see how this guy ends up playing it out. Alright, so we're going to drop our Swamp because this gives us our land that we need, and we're going to pass the turn. Chances are he might drop our Chupacabra next turn, just to get in some beats, at which point we can Moment of Craving. We can also cycle away Renewed Faith right now to start digging for some other cards if we need to. Okay, so Champion of Wits, that's fine. So we don't want to Moment of Craving Champion Wits, because then he can just Eternalize it. So what we want is after this turn, right, we are going to hope that he attacks with it and seal it away. So he chose not to draw 2 cards. That's interesting. He seems to think he likes his hand. So that's fine. We're going to cycle our Renewed Faith, gain some more life, and pull a card. Let's take an action here. Alright, so we got another Plains. Not bad. Alright, and we have a Vraska's Contempt, which we could use on Champion, but honestly, I kind of don't want to waste a Vraska's Contempt on a Champion of Wits. So we have 1 black source. We don't have our second or our third for Lich's Mastery just yet, which isn't ideal, but we have 2 white sources. We don't need any more than that, so we're going to drop our Arc, and then we are going to pass the turn and hope that he attacks him with Champion of Wits so that we can seal it away. I'm waiting to see what he does. Alright, so he goes to the attack phase, and it looks like he's going to attack with Champion of Wits, which is perfect. That's what we were trying to bait out, and we will seal it away. Oh, he might have some counter magic. Oh, auto tap just kind of screwed me too. It tapped both my white sources, which wasn't ideal. Always watch out for auto tap, guys. It's really just a pain in the butt, to be honest. Alright, so there's another swamp, which is nice. So we now have 3 black sources if we need it. So we're just going to pass the turn. There's not much for us to do right now. Goes to attacks. Looks like he has full control on, which is okay. I mean, he's not running a control deck, so I'm not sure it's super necessary, to be honest. Alright, so we pulled a Field of Ruin. Not much we can do there. We could kill his Submerged Boneyard, but it doesn't really do us any good. We'll drop it either way, and then we will pass the turn. Not much action going on. He's not really doing much, to be honest. So a lot of his cards are kind of dead against us since we run 0 creatures, which is one of the reasons why we run control decks. Looks like he's just gonna pass the turn again. Oh, and Ravenous Chupacabra, which is fine. He can play it, and we will just Moment of Craving it. End the turn. We'll go to our turn. Alright, so we've got a Karn, which is great. We can start drawing some cards. So let's Karn. Alright, also gets us our City's Blessing for later on, when we want to start drawing cards with Arc.
Are you certain of your decision?
Alright, so Moment of Craving and a Plains. He's probably going to give us the Plains, which is fine. Doesn't really matter. Moment of Craving isn't super useful against him right now anyway. And once again, auto tap kind of screwed us because we could have very easily tapped Arc or Field of Ruin, and yet it tapped both of our black sources. So, not ideal. I'm going to pass the turn. Alright, so he's going to go to combat. We don't have enough mana to activate Arc, which is fine. Alright, so we get a cast out. Let's drop that. Let's draw another card with Karn. See what we draw. Ooh, our Approach. He's probably going to give us Doomfall. I don't see why he would give us Approach, which is fine. We can cast Doomfall. Oh, he gave us Approach of the Second Sun, which is quite interesting. That's fine. So we're just going to tap out and cast Approach. We don't even tap out. We have that much mana. But I'm surprised he didn't give us Doomfall. Unless he's holding up a counter, which is fine because we can get our Doomfall back with Karn next turn. And then we can also dig, Soul of the Rapids. So it does have Hexproof, which proves a little complicated for us until we pull Settle the Wreckage. So, let's see here. We can -1 Karn, get back our Doomfall, and actually cause him to sacrifice his Soul of the Rapids. We can -1 Karn, get back our Doomfall, check to see if there's any counters. We can +1 Karn to dig, and see what we pull. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 mana minus our arc, so we have 4 available. So we can Doomfall, have him sack his Rapids, then pull a card with arc next turn. Yeah, let's do that. I think that might be a good way to go. We'll Doomfall. We'll cast Doomfall, cause him to sacrifice a creature, exile a creature actually, and then we will pass the turn, and hopefully he does, well, whatever he does, we can cast it out, we can seal it away, we can contempt it. Yeah, I mean, we've got plenty of options here. Alright, so he's not gonna, doesn't look like he's gonna do anything. So let's draw a card with Arc. Alright, Gideon of the Trials. Nice. So we'll drop our other swamp. We will dig with Karn to see what we pull up.
You may regret that choice.
So Approach and Moment of Craving. And, I mean, he could give us the Approach. I'm not quite sure. Nope, he didn't. So he gave us the Moment of Craving. And we have another Approach already coming up. So then what we're going to do is we will Gideon. 2 white. No, let's auto tap. Let's tap here. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Cast Gideon. So he can counter this, which is fine, because then he's eating up his counters for Approach. Yep, there it is. All right, awesome. And we're just gonna pass the turn. So we're hoping he kind of eats up his counters. So we have a couple of Approaches on deck. So he's going to do nothing. We are going to Arc and draw a card. Which means we now have Approach. So we're going to drop our planes. And we're going to cast Approach and see if that wins the game. He may be able to counter this. Nope, and we win. And that's how that's done, folks. No Lich's Mastery, just straight up Approach. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, well, here we go for round 2. Let's see, it's a pretty decent hand. We got a Renewed Faith. We do not have a land that's going to come into play untapped, but we can play Isolated Chapel on turn 1, and we do go first. So hopefully we draw another land on our second turn. Alright, so we play the Chapel, pass the turn. We can always cycle Renewed Faith second turn if we need to, so black and blue it looks like. Just pulled an Approach, which is always nice. Oh, Desert of the Mindful, not necessarily black and blue. We'll see what happens. We're going to pass the turn. We might cycle away Renewed Faith in the turn if they don't really do anything. Either way, they really can't seal. I can't really seal away anything unless they're playing red on top of the blue. Looks like just more blue. Alright, so we're going to go to combat. Looks like they have either something they can do or full control on. Which for a lot of control decks, we're going to cycle away Renewed Faith. Gain some life. and draw a card. Oh, and there's our next land, so that's good. So we can play Gideon. Hopefully we're not walking into a counter, which we might be, to be honest. We can have a negate. Just about a negate at this point. Nope, so he's going to cycle away Hieroglyphic Illumination, looking for something, which is fine. Still allows us Gideon to go through.
Virtue will always try.
And he's probably not going to have anything that can attack with haste, so we'll get the emblem. We don't really have anything else to do. Turning Gideon into a soldier at this point does nothing. He'd suffer from summoning sickness, so... Alright, so he's going to cycle again.
You cannot win.
Alright, so blue and red, so probably an Enigma Drake deck. Bloodwater Entity's fine. If he attacks with it, we can seal it away. We don't have our second black source for Vraska's Contempt, which is fine. We do have a cast out if we need to, but we can also just kind of sit here. Does he have anything? Puncturing Blow, but it's not going to do anything. We could attack with Gideon, or we can prevent damage on the Bloodwater Entity. You know what? We're going to zero Gideon, and we're going to attack. If he blocks with the Bloodwater Entity, fine. If he doesn't, also fine. So we'll end the turn, and we'll probably seal away next turn. So he goes to combat. Now, he could have a counter for our seal away. He could have a Supreme Will, a Wizard's Retort, a Negate. They're all possibilities at this point. So we're going to see what happens. Most likely he says Supreme Will. I'm okay with wasting a seal away on that. So we'll see if he has it. We're one mana short of him not being able to counter with a Supreme Will, but that's alright. Nope, and it's going to go through. So we'll take the Bloodwater Entity. Looks like he's just going to pass the turn at this point. Probably going to be a relatively slow... nope, looks like he might be doing something. Another Bloodwater Entity. That's fine. So probably just, pull a Hieroglyphic Illumination. So Bloodwater Entity in a deck, like the red and blue tempo deck with Enigma Drake, is a little odd. And I say that because we got a Doomfall. So we can check his hand. We can +1 Gideon to just kind of hang out. We can, we don't really need to attack. We have our approach, so we'll just kind of
hold no power over me.
+1 him. I'm gonna Doomfall. See what he's got in his hand. So he has the Enigma Drake, Chartic Horse, Hieroglyphic Illumination. Nothing really super potent. The Enigma Drake doesn't really concern me, to be honest. In fact, I think more so card draw than anything else. Because between Vraska's Contempt and Cast Out, as long as we draw another black source, we should be fine. I'm going to take his Hieroglyphic Illumination. I'm really, honestly, not threatened by any of it. Right, so Bloodwater Entity in this kind of deck is a little weird because you're pulling back instants and sorceries out of the graveyard that you would normally use to help fuel Enigma Drake. So it's a little interesting that that card sees play in this style deck. I think he's honestly just playing with the red and blue starter deck, which is fine. It can have some explosive starts between like Fling and Enigma Drake and all that kind of stuff. So he had no idea that I +1 to Gideon on the Bloodwater Entity, otherwise he wouldn't have attacked with it. So his play now is... I got rid of Hieroglyphic Illumination. He had another one? Okay. Okay, so he charted a course. So we have another Doomfall, so that's nice. Yeah, so we'll just +1 Gideon again. We really need some land. We're kind of dead on lands right now, which is unfortunate.
Not if I can help it.
Doomfall his hand again. Realistically, okay, so he's gonna cycle away Hieroglyphic Illumination again. So he has a Mistcloaked Herald, some lands. I mean, the Mistcloak doesn't really concern me. I can always just +1 Gideon on it. We'll take the Enigma Drake this time. Pass the turn. Really need some lands though. It's kind of getting a little much here. So we know he just has lands in hand. He could attack with the Bloodwater Entity, but it's not going to do anything. Alright, finally, another land. Thank God. So we will +1 the Mistcloak. I kind of want to activate Arch, so I'm probably going to cast out the Bloodwater Entity. He might cycle a land.
No, I don't think so.
So we'll just end the turn. So I can Vraska's Contempt now. I do have 2 Isolated Chapels, but again, I'm probably going to, in order to work on activating Arch, probably just cast out the Bloodwater Entity when he attacks with it. Oh, did the game just freeze? Nope, we're good. So he cycles away his land, trying to find more answers. Goes to combat. Attacks with both, because I'm not sure that he actually knows which one. Oh. And I just lost sound. The client. Oh. Alright, so let's cast out. Cast out the Bloodwater Entity. Alright, so that's nice. But honestly, I think we'll just start attacking with Gideon.
Stand down.
Because it doesn't look like we're drawing enough lands for approach, so we'll just do the Gideon beatdown plan. We pretty much control this board state for the most part. Not too worried about it. The only thing you can have that could affect Gideon is, at this point, is Puncturing Blow. He can go to combat, attack with his Mistcloak, which I can just Vraska's Contempt. Or I could honestly just let it go. And we'll just let this one go. I don't need the life. It's not gonna bring him down that much. Brings him down to a 5. I'm not really worried about it. My turn. There's a swamp, which is nice. Well, +1. Well, 0 Gideon again. Client's being slow today. Going to combat. And end the turn. So he's going to cycle a land, again looking for some answers, which is fine. At this point, he's on a 2-turn clock, and I'm way ahead of that. I mean, he's got 5 turns on Gideon before Gideon dies, and I've got 2 turns before he dies. So, again, just in case he drops something else, I'll keep Vraska's Contempt. I'm really not worried about his Miscloak kind of killing Gideon, to be honest. He's got plenty of lands. There's my other land. Yay! Alright, so, let's see. We will cast Approach. We will 0 Gideon.
You'll have to get through me first.
Attack. End the turn. Now, he will attack with the Miscloak and kill. Well, he will attack Gideon, but he must know at this point that he can't win. Okay.
Underestimated you. Retreat.
What he doesn't know is I have this. And I win. He good gamed, so at least he was nice about it. Again, didn't see Lich's Mastery, didn't get it to hit the field. So, yeah, we'll play another one. Alright, so game 3, we've got a Plains and a Deadland, so no black source without costing us something. We do have Cast Out that we can cycle turn 1. We don't have a third land, which I would really like. But our opponent does go first, so we might draw one. So I think it's a keepable hand. We'll see what happens. Is this the same guy? It might be the same guy, to be honest. Because it's red and black, so unless he's playing Wizards... I honestly didn't pay attention to the guy's name last game, so this might be the same guy. Which happens sometimes. The MTG Arena community is still pretty small, so sometimes if you hop right in from one match to the next, you end up facing the same person. So we got a Karn. Do we want to risk pulling the third land? We got another turn before we can. So yeah, that's fine. We'll just let it go. And no other land, that's fine. So we'll cast that. This way if he casts something, we can Moment of Craving, or we can Renewed Faith at the end of turn. So he's going to opt looking for something, which is fine. Again, I'm pretty sure this is the same person. Hopefully this game anyway we'll be able to play a Lich's Mastery and see it works. So we're going to cycle Renewed Faith, draw a card, gain some life. Another Karn. Not really what I wanted to see. So the land in this deck has not been very forgiving lately. Yeah, we'll just pass the turn. We're over the maximum hand size, which isn't great. I mean, I guess... Okay. That's fine. No, what? Oh, no. That was not what I meant to do. Ugh. I was hoping it was going to let me play it. It's an instant. Why wouldn't it let me play it? Ah, that's rough. That's fine. We'll gain some life. Draw a card. God, that's rough. Oh, yay! We get a planes out of it, so we can cast Gideon. Hopefully we don't walk into a counter. Oh, and an Isolated Chapel. Alright, so do we Doomfall and hope he has the counter to bait it out? I think that's what we do. Get him to exile the Obstructionist. Ah, and there's the counter. Excellent. Yep, so he attacks. I'm really mad about... Alright, so we can Vraska's Contempt this turn, cast out next turn. Just playing catch-up right now, which isn't ideal. We can play Gideon on the Magnaroth, take 3 every turn. Not ideal. Until the next turn that we can cast out, or Vraska's Contempt, and then we already have Gideon on the field. So if we play Gideon, he's going to go down to 1 and hope he doesn't have a counter for it. You know what? We're gonna do nothing this turn. So he goes right to combat. So we are going to cast out. See if he has the counter for it. Nope. We'll cast out the Magnaroth. Yeah. So we take 3, which is fine. And an Enigma Drake. Alright. So now we're drawing our lands, which is nice. Still upset about us discarding that other card. Not what we were looking for. We can Gideon, +1, the Obstructionist. So he only goes down to 2. Yeah, let's do that. Does he have the counter? He would need a negate. Doesn't have it.
Prepare to defend yourself.
So what we really don't want to see right now is a lightning strike.
If I can help it.
So we pass the turn. And we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting. I really want to draw a Lich's Mastery this game. It would be nice to see that in play. Oh, so he's going to Lightning Strike the face? Interesting. Goes to combat. Probably attacks Enigma Drake. I mean, the only thing, his real play should be Enigma Drake to Gideon. Looks like he's not going to Gideon. Nope, pulls it back. I think, yeah, he's just trying to figure out the UI, I think. There we go. Does he have another spell? He might. Nope. Lightning bolt? Lightning strike? He's tapping for something. 2 red. Looks like a lightning strike to me. Oh, Field of Ruin. Okay. Interesting. What do I need? I need a swamp. I see. Alright. So. What do we do here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Not ideal. We... Vraska's Contempt. We +1 Gideon on the Serpent. You can keep him around, it's fine. Do I want to keep him around? No, we'll keep the Nimble Obstructionist around.
Stand down.
Although, probably should have done the Enigma Drake still. Vraska's Contempt the Serpent. And pass the turn. So, Gideon's gonna die. I'm okay with that. It is what it is. Nope, that's not what you want to do. Maybe this little purple banner thing. Why? Indicating that he can't do damage. It's a poor indication.
How do you feel about a rematch?
Another land. Excellent. Alright, so let's not cycle. Let's Karn. We will +1 Karn.
The choices we make reveal who we are.
Ooh. What you gonna give us? Sanguine Sacrament? Seal away? Hoping he gives us the seal away. He'll probably give us the Sacrament, which is fine. Sacrament's really in this deck so that we don't deck ourselves with Lich's Mastery, and we can just draw a ton of cards. He's deciding. So they gave us the Sacrament. That's fine. So we're going to cycle Renewed Faith since I don't have anything else to do. We're going to lose Karn next turn, and that's fine because I have another one. That we can then pull seal away from.
I will endure.
Oh, and there's another one. Alright. Karn goes down.
Until you have lived as a statue, do
We
not
pull
what was lost is
Seal
now
away back.
returned.
Cast Seal away on the Enigma Drake. And call it a turn. He'll attack. Karn will go down to 1. I'm okay with it. I cast away next turn, and then I start controlling the board. Flash. Steal your Obstructionist. +1 Karn.
Are you certain of your decision?
Frozen. Swamp and Vraska's Contempt. Probably give us the Swamp. And we pass the turn. Primal Amulet. Ooh. That can be dangerous. My turn. Swamp. +1.
How convenient. An excellent choice.
Oh, Vraska's Contempt and Approach. He's going to give me the Contempt. Which means next turn we win. Yep. Cast Approach. He's probably going to be like, what? I gave him Contempt. You did. But doesn't matter. Swamp. -1 Karn.
This will aid us.
Get Approach. Cast Approach. Game? Does he have the counter? He does not. And we win. And once again, no Lich's Mastery to be seen. So, let's take a look at the deck again. So we can kind of talk about it. And we seem to be a little frozen again. Oh, and we're back. Alright, so how did the deck do? The deck did well. Honestly, I think that having Lich's Mastery is unnecessary. Even just like looking at the card, I'm not super fond of it. Like, yes, you can't lose the game. I can't lose the game with Gideon on the field. Same with Lich's Mastery. And the minute Lich's Mastery leaves the field, I lose. Now, yes, Lich's Mastery is more difficult to remove. It's an enchantment. It has hexproof. True. But it has a huge downside. Like, whenever you lose life, for each 1 life you lost, exile a permanent you control or a card from your hand or graveyard. So, unless you are absolutely controlling the game, like, and they have no creatures on their side of the field, every single point of damage you take means you have to remove cards from your graveyard, from your hand, from the field, until literally you have nothing left but Lich's Mastery to remove, at which point you lose. The only upside is when you gain life, you draw that many cards. Honestly, like, cool, yes. Moment of Craving, I get to remove a creature, draw 2 cards. Awesome. Renewed Faith, I get to, like, literally draw 3 cards and gain 2 life. I get it, right? Vraska's Contempt, remove something, draw 2 cards. Approach, literally, I can have Lich's Mastery on the field, play Approach, and then just draw, like, Approach. But honestly, I don't think it's that good of a card. It's like a build-around card, but I just don't love it. In a creature-heavy meta like we have now, there's just too many things that can go wrong. Especially since in this deck, and currently in MTG Arena, we don't have like a standard sweeper in white. Like, yes, we have Settle the Wreckage, but most of the time people will attack, they'll get settled, and then they'll play another creature, which means next turn I've got nothing. Like, nothing. So, unless I have another removal in my hand, like a Doomfall or a Vraska's Contempt, but at that point, again, I'm playing catch-up, whereas if we had like a Fumigate, we could just literally wipe the field and not have to worry about it. So until we get Kaladesh and Aether Revolt on Thursday, like, this deck, I think, is just missing a huge key piece to it. And honestly, I don't even think that running a Lich's Mastery approach deck is the best way to go. I mean, if you want to go for a different style approach, I think black and white approach just straight up is good enough. Between Steal Away, Moment of Craving, Cast Down, you know, Renewed Faith is nice, not super necessary. I might actually take Forsake the Worldly over it, since there are a lot of enchantments. If you've got the room for it. Gideon, like, awesome. Doomfall. You could even put in, you know, Duress or Divest or Lay Bare the Heart to really pick apart your opponent's hand. Cast Out, Ixalan's Binding, Settle the Wreckage, like those, Vraska's Contempt, Karn. You put Treasure Map in so you can start like really filtering your draws. You wouldn't need the Sanguine Sacrament or the Lich's Mastery. Moment of Craving, I'm not even sure. I might even go with like a, 4 of them is way too many. Maybe go with like a 3 count on Moment of Craving. Maybe like 2 Cast Downs. Definitely some Ixalan's Binding. Maybe like a 2 and 2. So I definitely think, and then like the mana can stay the same. That's fine. It's not super more. Actually, it's less color intensive because we're not running a 3 of anything. So, I see the appeal to the deck. I don't think it's very good at all, and I honestly don't think it's really super necessary. I think Lich's Mastery is just kind of a bad rare, which is why I didn't craft another one, because I only have a couple of wild cards left, and I didn't really want to spend another rare wild card on a card like Lich's Mastery. So, the deck performed well. Do I think it was great? No. Do I think Lich's Mastery is necessary? Absolutely not. If you want to go for a different approach deck, go for black and white. Maybe even throw in a Mastermind's Acquisition and craft a sideboard. But other than that, guys, that's about it for this week. Thank you so much for watching and me rambling on. Appreciate it. I will see you guys next week. As always, if you like the videos, subscribe. If you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it. We're trying to get these videos to be better and better each and every single time. So any feedback on video quality, audio quality, whatever, or even play, I'm not the greatest player in the world, guys. I'll admit that, right? I make mistakes. I try to own up to it. If I see the mistake, I'll definitely own up to it. If I don't, then call me out on it. Let me know. Like, tell me how I could have done it better. I'm willing to hear, willing for the feedback. So thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and I will see you next week.